the speed of innovation is so high that
Mm.
we are not sure what those new skills are. Don't you
Yeah,
think so?
I'd be interested to know what skills you think are gonna happen, but it's I don't know. Like we're doing something at the moment with like the role of a chief AI officer, and it's very hard,
Right.
Mohammed, to see um, what what those roles will look like.
I think that the challenge is going to be the speed of innovation mainly, and uh,
Mm.
and the workforce as well. Because
Yeah,
right now, if you look at the workforce, then the problem is your whole content which you are teaching to your students, which you are teaching to your kids, that is going
yeah,
to be updated. And the
yeah.
challenge is your teacher also needs to be updated.
Yes, that's
So,
very true.
right? So, if your teachers are not updated, how would you update the curriculum of your students, right? So
Mm.
because that workforce is going to be very valuable in the future.
I don't think, or not. I don't think it looks interesting that people are. There's a lot of vendors that are offering very similar solutions. They might tailor it in a different way, package it in a different way, or have a different integrated approach, I guess, from what I've seen. But there is a real big problem with enterprises and looking at what vendor to choose. To your point, and it's really tricky.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ali. I'm the CEO of Al-Burraq Technologies, and you know that I've been repeatedly telling you that AI is taking over many things, and the future is going to be changed. And today we have a tech star with us who is superhuman, I would say, right, in the sense of AI, because he has done some very good work related to that. I would like him to introduce himself first, and then we're going to talk to him about AI, especially. Hello, Tom. How are you?
Hey Ali, really good to be on the show today. Really excited to have this conversation, and thank you for having this platform to inform people about important topics.
Thank you so much. You have developed a platform that is informing people, and I would like that give us some of the journey you had, so that our audience can connect with you, and then we can go forward from there.
Yeah, man, it's a really exciting time. So it's everything that's happening with AI and the way it's implementing different businesses, uh, what people are doing with it, how businesses are using the technology, and really that kind of led me to think about having a platform
Right. Right.
to help people with learning these kind of topics. So
Hmm.
really leaning into topics that go beyond AI and the technology. And I mean, our goal is to really inform and educate people on not just all the buzzwords that you might hear about,
Hmm.
the but also around like what the actual practical ways of using AI are, using cloud, using data, and it's the with the release of all these large language models or the updates now, it's
Hmm.
it's uh,
Hmm.
it's really starting to take its momentum. It's a really exciting time.
Right, right, right. I completely understand that, but I would like to know the motive. How did you came up with this idea that you should have this thing right in the market, and you should educate people? How was this idea initiated?
Yeah, it's a good question I get asked because it was a lot by luck and chance, I guess. But I used to
Okay.
work in engineering as a marketing manager, and through that role at this engineering company, I saw occasionally like some different applications of how computer vision was being used, how technology was being used, and it really led me to think about how
Hmm.
these
Hmm.
conversations really aren't being spoke about. So really wanted to use it, and I kind of quickly put together a platform. And I thought the Wall Street Journal, so I called it the AI Journal, and really
Hmm.
just wanted to make it open. I guess we call it open source, but contributor led. So having people that actually have the experience and input and understanding of how these technologies work, and then recently with the wave of what's happened with AI has really led to the spurt of our platform. But the idea really came from thinking I don't understand these
Hmm.
technologies like other people don't, and I guess at the time there wasn't really as many platforms out there, or it wasn't as talked about in 2020 um, as it is today. But it's just been a natural kind of project that came out of a real desire of wanting to help people, Ali. So it's very
Right.
similar. yourself with your business. It's
Right.
the AI journal book going, and it's exciting to really keep those core reasons of why we started close
Hmm.
to everything that the AI journal does today.
Right, right. That makes a lot of sense. And you have introduced a very good term right now, the wave of AI. That is
Yeah.
very important thing right now, because right now it is the wave of AI. But I would like to ask, do you think that AI is going to take over the current jobs? Do you think like that?
Yes, is my answer.
Right.
But I think if you look at when any technology comes in, Ali, it creates a lot more jobs as well. So
Hmm.
making sure that it creates a lot more jobs is much more important than the jobs it's taking, because it doesn't
Hmm.
necessarily, just because something's being replaced doesn't mean it's a bad thing. I mean, people had the same
Hmm.
problems when the internet started replacing
Yes. Yes.
how people shop, e-commerce, or mobile started
Hmm.
changing how
Hmm.
people communicate through social platforms, or um, how manufacturing changed agriculture. Like it's all a wave of jobs that change, but I think more people are employed now than like the past 100 years, like, on average.
Hmm.
I don't know if it's like what it is to like the closest 5 year gap or 5 year period, but employment's always going up, and the rate, the the way people live and like the happiness meter for how people live is always going up, and how many problems it's a very beneficial thing. And I think people get it
Right.
mixed up that just because it's
Hmm.
replacing jobs, it's creating more jobs than you can imagine, and there's not the talent, there's not the expertise to fill these roles. That's why people, like you saw it with Microsoft and Infliction AI. Like they've paid £30 million out of that £650 million sum just to stop them getting
Hmm.
sued, taking all the talent, because talent is such a
Right.
big thing at the moment. So I do think it's changing jobs, but I think people want to have a negative spin on it, and I think it's all going to be very
Hmm.
positive.
Hmm.
That people's
Hmm.
kids and grandkids are going to be working in jobs that they have much more passion for, much more, and even themselves. If you're a 30, 40, 50 year old, you're going to be working in jobs where, thanks to automation, it will take away daily processing tasks, or it will take away
Right.
having to chase certain things. I think it's all very beneficial. So I don't
Right.
obviously there are cases or slivers of things where it has taken away a certain job, and I think what people are more scared of is that they don't want to upskill themselves and don't want to learn new skills, and maybe it's
Hmm.
a factor of laziness. But I think in my personal view is that yes, it will, but it will be for the better, not for the worse.
I can second that thing, that it is going to replace it and the new skills will be evolved. I can second that thing. But I think right now the challenge is that the speed of innovation is so high that
Mm.
we are not sure what those new skills are. Don't you
Yeah,
think so?
I'd be interested to know what skills you think are gonna happen, but it's I don't know. Like we're doing something at the moment with like the role of a chief AI officer, and it's very hard,
Right.
Mohammed, to see um, what what those roles will look like. I mean,
Hmm.
introduction
Hmm.
to data officer is something that keeps climbing at the moment,
Hmm.
and a CIO, CTO, those two have been critical roles. But I
Hmm.
wonder, like, look at prompt engineers. Like that role is really
Yes.
um,
That.
has blossomed is a word, I guess, or really
Yeah. Yeah.
expanded since large language models like Anthropic and
Hmm.
ChatGPT and
Hmm. Hmm.
Llama and whatever else. But it there's going to be jobs that neither of us or anyone in the world can see. Like listening to Jan LeCun's podcast with Lex Friedman, it was really fascinating to see how he saw this. And I listened to that. I finished listening to it the other day, and it was just really interesting to see how they see the role of like AGI progressing and the new jobs that it's gonna create, and the new business departments that I mean you're going to enable startups to scale much more quicker because of data analytics and
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
automation,
Hmm.
understanding their customer, understanding the price points. So I think there's jobs that we can't even see at the moment. It's even as niche as having data analysts being more like a
Right.
data for a certain industry, or a data analyst that specializes in a certain um, pattern or a certain measurement unit. Like it can get really granular, and I
Hmm.
don't think there's I don't think there's a limit to the new jobs that we're gonna
and
see.
and and I think that even those jobs are going to be overtaken by the AI. Because
Yeah.
right now, what are the most important things? The most important things, do you have the knowledge to take the decision? AI does have, right? Like
Mm,
humans, and
true.
even more. Then we see that whether AI has the empathy or not, like
Yes.
humans, right? AI
Yes.
does have that. AI can understand emotions or not. AI does understand emotions, right? AI
Yes.
can track your emotional journey and can do much more than a human can, right?
Yes.
So I think those jobs are also going to be overtaken by the AI. And when I say to people that your whole socio-economic values are going to be changed,
Mm.
people do not take me seriously, but that is why I called you, right? Let's discuss this.
It's
Because
important.
yeah, it's a kind of scary topic as well. And you can say that uh, it is just like the innovation of electricity, because the
Mm.
whole system was changed, your whole socioeconomic values were changed. So it's, this innovation is like that. The LLMs and all, this innovation is like that. But what those new skills are, I think that until unless businesses start adopting AI in their day-to-day processes, in their innovations, that will define what the new skills are going to be. What do you think about that?
Yeah, so it's a really good way you're looking at it. It's I think it's important that how we define those skills and what people need to do
Hmm.
is a big learning curve at the moment. I don't think anyone's got an
Yeah.
answer.
Yes,
I don't
yes,
think
yes, yes.
how you build that is going to be a one stop approach or a
Hmm.
one
Hmm.
size fits all, because different what works for one business isn't going to work for another business. And I think if you look at a manufacturing company and you look at a healthcare company, it's very different in how they operate. And there might be things that are similar, or if you look at an airline company, or if you look at a home goods company, whatever it might be, they're going to use different tools, different ways. And I think going to your great question, it's I honestly we speak to big companies and they don't know what's happening. Like they don't understand. Well, they don't know what's happening. They've obviously got a pulse on the trends and they've got the resources to go speak to customers and understand trends and understand how this is impacting those businesses to either consult, advise them, or send them the right solution, whatever it might be. And it's it's really having that curiosity. I think is where companies are going to get rather than saying right or wrong. Like no, like even the one I listened to, Jan Leekun on Meta, he was, and people say it from big companies. They tell us what is and what's going to happen, and in his example, it was that it's not going to be an event of AGI, so it's not going to, you don't turn the computer on one day and it's just AGI is going to happen. It's going to be a step by step process, which might be true, and I'm very inclined to think that way. But even saying that's definitely not going to happen, how do you know? Like, there's a lot of things that are happening at the moment that is shocking a lot of people. Um, and so it it's really tricky to, or it's really unfair, I guess, to put a finger on something that works one way for one company and one way for another. So
Yeah.
I really wouldn't. I would tell people not to get into that mindset with AI or data or whatever you're
Hmm.
trying to do. Like basic automation, like sorting your emails, or whether it's increasing the throughput on a manufacturer, depending how complex it gets. Not to get it muddled up with having a very right or wrong determined attitude, because there's a
Hmm.
lot to
Hmm.
figure out. I mean, what
Right.
AI has really taken effect for like the past 3 years or so. So God knows where it'll be in 30 years.
Hmm. Right. And if I ask you to comment on the speed of innovation,
Mm.
what would be that?
In what way?
In a way that what right now, how the speed of innovation is impacting the workforce,
Mm. Yeah, it's a good point.
and impacting the companies as well, that they see
Yes.
one tool and the other day they see another tool which is
Yeah.
better than the previous one.
Yeah. Well, you'll understand this as well, man. Like running a successful business, it's it's tricky. Like you can't, like it's a question we're always getting asked how to, and I think the companies that are getting ahead are the ones that really understand who their customer are. And I think
Hmm.
people get in this mindset just because like AI can do lots of things to like the big way we use it is automation, so automating workflows and content creation. So writing drafts or designing imagery or whatever it might be. That's the ways that we're currently using it. And I think the way a lot of people are using it is predictive analytics and understanding, giving us insight into what these numbers might mean or what the whether it's looking at it from a customer rate or employee rate or automation rate. Um, I I think it's really tricky to say that that's the right vendor. And where I was getting with that is the companies that are getting ahead are the ones that realize who their key customers are and who the people they need to go have conversations with. Because AI is just an enabler. If you don't have a good product, you don't have um, a good relationship. I mean, you can sell a
Yeah.
shitty product with a great relationship. So I think that's a
Hmm,
really
hmm,
important
hmm.
point to consider for listeners or for people that are looking at these initiatives. And I don't think, or not, I don't think it looks interesting that people are. There's a lot of vendors that are offering very similar solutions. They might tailor it in a different way, package it in a different way, or have a different integrated approach, I guess, from what I've seen. But there is a real big problem with enterprises and looking at what vendor to choose. To your point, and it's really tricky because they're not necessarily helpful. So I don't know. It starts a lot with discovery phases, and I mean that's what people that exceed and do well notice. They discover where their customer is in their data journey usually, because if you haven't got good organized structured data, you're not going to be able to implement AI. You're not going to be able to use it. You're not going to like how your data's stored. Is it on the cloud? Is it on prem? Is it how sensitive is the data? Like what's the data mean? Like have you analyzed it? Have you structured it? Have you got it into some visualizations? Have you got it into a data dashboard to understand it? And then you can really start to think, okay, that area can be automated because of X, Y, Z. And I think businesses are just aimlessly going. Not all of them. Like I think there's a growing problem because I don't know the numbers. Like there's very big companies that have a pulse on what vendor they should be using and what company they should be using for that specific challenge, whether that's data annotation or whether it's machine learning or whatever it might be. And I think the problem is with startups or with SMEs maybe, um, and I'm kind of guessing here, is that they don't really understand it. And I think the vendors have a much bigger opportunity to scale with them at more of a grassroots level, to not put them on their like amazing enterprise package straight away, but to really help them out on that journey and say, look, this is where you're going wrong, because that's the number one problem. I not number one problem, but that's the wrong way of looking at it. It's a conversation that's always occurring that enterprises know
I do
why.
get that.
Yeah. So, and I'd
Right.
love to know what you think.
Right.
Like, how do you look at that? Like with running a business in that area.
You you know, I think that the challenge is going to be the speed of innovation mainly,
Mm.
and the workforce as well. Because
Yeah.
right now, if you look at the workforce, then the problem is your whole content which you are teaching to your students, which you are teaching to your kids, that is going
Yeah.
to be updated. And the
Yeah.
challenge is your teacher also needs to be updated.
Yes, that's very
So,
true.
right. So, if your teachers are not updated, how would you update the curriculum of your students, right? So
Mm.
because that workforce is going to be very valuable in the future, right? And
Yeah.
people will not if they are not going to able to understand what is going on around and what skills they need to get, because those skills are going to be after their education or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And those things are going to be very difficult to
Yeah.
manage. So
I agree.
I do see the crisis for the companies. I do see the crisis for the startups. I do see the crisis for the humanity as well. But
Yes.
of course, the solutions will be there after some time. But in that duration of uncertainty, that what is going to happen, that picture is very scary for
Mm.
me as well, that
Mm.
how those things are going to be managed. But that is what it is, and this is the new challenge for the humanity, I think. And we all have to think about that, and we all have to find the solutions, uh, what whatever the possible solutions are in that direction.
Yes. Well, that's an interesting point you raise. What do you reckon it is that makes people scared of all this technology? I don't know. If you're
uh, because
adopting
because
or-
they see one side of that for now, because right now, if you see myself, I'm a techie, right? I'm in the tech from last 11, 12 years, right? And I am scared from the
yeah,
tech. And trust me, I was in a seminar, and I have seen people who were not that there is one workforce which is not aware of AI, right?
yeah,
There is still one workforce which is not aware of AI. I've seen the fear of AI in those people's eyes.
wow,
They were questioning the panelist, and I could see the fear in the questions.
yeah,
So right now the situation is that everybody is scared of it. And yes, people get scared of technology because that fear is that they will need to upgrade themselves. But I
mm,
think this time the challenges are much bigger than just upgrades.
yes,
I think that this time it is like that. I think this time it is going to impact your socioeconomic values. And whenever this happens, then there's a mass disruption. And
mm.
we could hope that things go in right direction and good direction for the whole world.
Well, it's a really important point you're raising because
Hmm.
it's it's really annoying for me because
You're scared? You're scared as well?
I'm not scared. No, I'm. I think there's reasons to be cautious.
Hmm.
Is the word I use. I don't.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
necessarily
yeah.
like the word scared. I mean, anyone's scared of something they don't know. I always give the
Yes.
analogy: if I was put in the cockpit of a plane and told to fly a plane, I'd be dead scared
Hmm.
because I don't understand what anything means, and I wouldn't know how to operate a plane. Compared to a pilot, it's second nature to them. Click this, do that, take off,
Yeah,
taxi,
yeah.
radio, blah blah blah. Comes to them second nature while having a coffee. They they know it in
Hmm.
and out.
Hmm.
And I think
Yeah.
the problem is people are seeing the applications from people that know, similar to yourself, like being a techie, and I'm not quite a techie. I'm more of an enthusiast. It's um, it's interesting because the people that are in it every day, some of them a bit worried, of course, but I think a lot of people that are dealing with these tools, algorithms, platforms, large language models, looking at the data, coding in Python, whatever it might be, they're much more comfortable with seeing what those, and they can spot opportunities and they can spot benefits. And I mean,
Hmm. Hmm.
if it wasn't helpful, these companies would not be worth the billions that they are worth. And I think
Yes, yes, yes.
you can't, like, I mean, I put out a post yesterday on LinkedIn which is quite funny, and it was talking around inflated valuations of large language models at the moment because they're doing ridiculous sums. They're doing like 220 times earnings or something daft, which is so like their revenue and then their valuation is 200 times that. And you think, well, how? And I think to one point I understand it, but like OpenAI is doing what 2 billion in annual revenue at the moment, and Anthropic's doing I think 350 odd million in annual revenue. So people are paying for those subscriptions and paying, and you think all the people that are using them for free and using the free model, it's where am I going with this? I'm saying that everyone has a. I understand why people are cautious or worried because they can't see the ins and outs of how it's being applied, and I mean that's why I was a big fan of things like XAI and which I think is going to be the next. I think once that starts really integrating with X and integrating with Tesla and integrating with SpaceX, I think that's going to be the most powerful. I honestly think so because of the content they produce.
Right,
But
right, right.
at the same time, I mean, you look at what ChatGPT's got. ChatGPT's
Hmm.
integrated with all of Microsoft, all the emails, all the conversations, all the business documents. Like it's
Hmm.
arguably got the largest, all of YouTube. Like it's arguably got the largest data set. But I think people need to change their wording. Like change. There's a famous quote how it like change your questions, change your life, and I think change your thinking around this
Yes,
topic
that's
is a brilliant way of starting because
yeah,
um I mean you're seeing it like VR adoption and
yeah.
digital computing. I honestly think I don't
Hmm.
think the roots of the heavy headwear are going to take off because I just don't see it happening. But Apple are already working on their glasses apparently, and they're going to be released apparently around 2028. And I think Meta
Right.
are really leading because, I really want a pair of those Meta sunglasses, the Meta Ray-Ban
Hmm.
sunglasses, because
Hmm.
you've already overcome like the whole usability performance because people already wear Ray-Bans. They're like one of the most popular sunglasses you can get your hands on, and
Hmm.
I think that was such a smart partnership. And I think stuff like that is just going to become very natural to where you don't even have a phone, you have some sort of Samsung Ring and
Yeah.
glasses, and that's your communication. Or maybe you've got a watch as well. But like,
Yeah.
I honestly see the ring and the glasses being the way forward because people like minimalism. Like, as much as people like
Yeah.
clutter, the more
Hmm.
minimalist, the better. And I think I'm going slightly off topic, but I think people are going to very slowly adapt to it, and like
Hmm.
just how we've
Hmm.
adapted to
Hmm. Hmm.
cars, and just how we've adapted to being on the internet. There was
Yeah.
that famous article about the internet being dead. I think it was like in 2002 or maybe earlier, and basically saying the internet won't last. And the bloody dumbest article you could ever reference now. Like, it's like, it's hilarious
Right.
looking at the line. And I think that was in like the New York Times or something, or it was in a big
Right.
publication. I
Hmm.
think it was like 2000. But yeah, I honestly think
Yeah, that
uh,
makes sense. That makes sense. Okay,
it's
in
way.
the last in the
Mhm.
last, if I ask you that, if you have to give some tips to the people that how they can align themselves with the AI, uh, give three tips, right?
So for
Think
business, yes, it's a good question. I'd separate it this way.
it's a tough one as well. To be very
Yeah,
frank,
I like
I
it.
do understand how tough it is.
Yeah, man, it's a good question though, man. It's
Yeah.
for businesses, I'd say look at the outcome you want, and I think a lot. It
Hmm.
sounds simple, and a lot of people look over it. Like, what everything you sell ultimately and usually is tied back to a customer wanting something specific. Like,
Hmm.
depending
Hmm.
how complicated you are, even if it's a platform that does data analytics, people want that platform because they want to analyze what their results are. Or if you're IKEA, you want to buy stuff because you want to buy furniture, or an airline because you want to catch a flight somewhere. And I think you've really got to tie it back to what outcome do you want to achieve for your customer, and how do you want to get there, and then what tools are available, what data, what
Hmm.
AI tools, all that kind
Hmm.
of jazz. For people, it's really simple. Just go learn more. People don't want to go learn. They want to get caught up in their day to day processes. Go read a book on it.
Right.
Go watch YouTube on it. Go to a course. Go to a conference. A lot of them are free, and you can register for free. Like the open text one, that's free. Like, you can go
Hmm.
find out all sorts of cool stuff. Like, you go hear from the CEO of a big company doing this day to day, and people seem to just overlook these, or go to one of the fork out a little bit of money, or get your
Hmm.
employer to. And even if you don't want to do that, I mean, you can go pick up books for £1. Like, there's some great books, or start with something like Life 3.0, or something like one of the basic ones, or there's loads of books.
Right.
Just
Right.
doing that
Right.
education. And the third point, I'd probably say, go ask people and go connect with people. Like, don't,
Yes. 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 Yes.
like, I say dumb things all the time, but I just ask curious questions similar to yourself.
Hmm.
Like,
Hmm.
building a business, how many questions have you had to ask to understand what you're
Hmm.
doing
Hmm.
to serve your
Hmm.
customer better? And people just
Right.
don't
Right. Right.
want to do it. And I think if you do those three things, you'll have a very much better understanding. Their
Yeah.
time, you have to spend your time on it, but yeah, they
Yeah.
help. Oh, look here, I've already got one book. This got sent to me the other day, so already I've got my next book lined up. Like, further
Perfect.
tasks. So
Perfect. Perfect.
always learning and reading. Like, and similar to
Perfect.
yourself, that's how you've probably built a successful company. Is you're
Hmm.
constantly
Hmm.
learning, understanding your customer, and understanding what you can do. Right. So that's what I'd say.
Right, right, right. Thank you so much, Tom. It was very insightful conversation, and I hope the audience is also going to like it. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for your time, and for the audience, keep watching Techstar Magazine so that we can keep bringing more Techstars to your screens. Thank you.